Staff Sergeant Daniel Cole was a man who lived by the clock. In Laramie, Wyoming, a town of just over 30,000 souls, he was always first to formation, first to salute the flag, first to step off at the 4th of July parade. With his square jaw, steady blue eyes, and a uniform pressed sharp enough to cut, he was a hometown hero. Kids waved from the curb, old-timers tipped their caps, mothers pointed and whispered, "That's our Daniel." But in the summer of 2017, folks noticed a change. The soldiers' march, once proud and precise, had softened to a limp. A cane steadied his right side, and his left shoulder sat stiff under his army greens. Yet, there he was, trudging the full parade route, waving off the offer of a Jeep ride, the quiet shake of his head. Barely didn't know the story behind it. Daniel wasn't one to talk about it. It was March 2012, his third deployment in front of Afghanistan. Daniel's mission was to train local forces of job that demanded trust where none existed. His platoon was posted near a village in Zone 3, a name that promised safety but delivered none. Daniel had learned to question those maps. The night was warm, thick with the scent of dust and distant fires. A tip had come in, surface that knew that way. Shadows stretching along the lost walls, the moon like ghosts, silent, with only faint signals to guide. Every clank, every rustle, set his nerves in. Then, a flicker of a boy, Lady Tim, stood in a doorway, barefoot, skinny, clutching something that wind and moonlight. Pipe, a trigger, made his heart pounding as he raised the piece of home to barked, voice steady as steel. The boy froze, quiet, unblinking. Time stretched then, the world erupted. A blinding flash, a roar that swallowed sound. Daniel hit the ground, air punched from his lungs. His face was slick blood, dirt. He couldn't tell. His ears rang, his vision blurred. When it cleared, the horror sank in. 2 of his men were gone, erased in the blast. Private Morales, just 17, screamed nearby, his leg a mangled ruin, blood soaking the sand. Bullets snapped overhead ambush. Daniel dragged Morales behind a crumbling wall, pressing his hands to the kid's wound, willing the blood to stop. "You're gonna make it," he growled, voice shaking. "You're gonna see your mom again. You hear me?" Morales passed out. Daniel wasn't far behind. He woke in a German hospital. The truth laid bare. His right leg was gone below the knee. Shrapnel had torn through his shoulder and spine. The doctors said medically retired. Daniel said, "Hell no." He fought to stay in, to keep serving the country he swore to protect, against all odds. But the war had taken more than flesh, it had carved out pieces of his soul, and he'd carried that weight back to Wyoming. Daniel Cole came home to Laramie a different man. The prosthetic leg stood where his own once had, and the house that once rang with his daughter's laughter now echoed with silence. His wife was gone, unable to bear the strain that was it all shadow. His metal silver star, purple pots at an guitar, gathering dust from the ceremony, had felt more human than unconfined. Daniel didn't want pain. He wanted purpose. He built it from the duty. Up at 5:30 a.m., he limped to the flagpole in his yard, hand over heart as old part of the Wyoming scout. Then the gym, pushing his body past the knee. Coffee at the diner, where folks nodded but didn't reply. Then home, where silence waited. One morning at the auto shop, waiting on an oil change, Daniel overheard 2 kids midnight at a bucket equipment. They stupid enough to sign up for me. One scar. Daniel turned, not mad, curious. In the kid's eyes, he saw a spark of happiness. I was going to make it. Before Papa Pop road. Then, he walked into Mary's doors and said, "Need help in the shop?" Yes. "Loving. Mechanics. Anything to keep his hands busy." They said yes, so he started showing. Not as a teacher, but as a guy who started us and stayed and cleaned tools, fixed engines, etc. But the kids noticed. Molly was the first to break there. A lanky 17-year-old with a chip on his shoulder. Molly trusted no one, not since his brother bled out in a street fight. But he watched Daniel, the limp, the way he never boasted about his service, the quiet strength that seemed to say, "I've seen hell. and I'm still here. One afternoon, as they scrubbed grease from a carburetor, Malik spoke up. You got hurt bad, didn't you? Daniel nodded. Yeah, you ever kill anybody? Daniel's hands stilled. I carried men. Some lived, some didn't. Malik didn't push, but something shifted. He started asking about welding, about torque, about why metal bends under stress. Daniel taught him to lay a bead that held strong, even under pressure. It's not just steel, he'd say, voice low. It's about proving something can endure. The shop became Daniel's refuge. The kids weren't soldiers, but they were fighters in their own way, fighting doubt, broken homes, small town limits. Daniel saw his own scars in their eyes, and for the first time since Kandahar, he felt useful, not as a hero, but as a man who could teach a kid to build something that wouldn't break. In Laramie, where the flag flew high and neighbors still tipped their hats, Daniel was finding his way back, not to who he was, but to who he could be. A man who served, not just the hill, but in the quiet battles of home. The stakes were just as real. Winter settled over Laramie like a heavy coat, but Daniel stayed late at the vocational school. The shop hung with platinum tools and invisible torches, a rhythm that drowned out the ghosts of Kandahar. It wasn't just the work that kept him there, it was the kids, and their struggles, their small victories. He saw echoes of his own fight to keep going. For the first time in years, he wasn't running from his past. Malik was changing fast. By February, he was leading projects, showing younger kids how to strip an engine, or weld a seam that wouldn't crack. His hands were singing, but his eyes still remained so focused and vibrant. Then he saw it and felt it flicker. The kind who reached the kid watching him to the rocks. Let us know at the shop pass. Malik sat beside him, edge outside. Everybody, sorry, never regret coming back to the war. Then he set his coffee, the steam curling around his face. Every day then, he said, and not for a second, the moment forever. That was that night. Then he tapped his prosthetic. The sound of the nails. Yes, I would have wished it on my first day. But I'd sign up again. Not because it was noble or easy, but because this country's worth it. Someone's gotta stand up. Bald. I was that someone. Malik nodded, staring at the snow. Feels like I gotta be that someone too. That spring, the school board planned a ceremony to honor community contributors. Daniel's name was on the list. He wanted to duck the spotlight, but Malik insisted on speaking. So Daniel showed up, in the gymnasium, under harsh fluorescent lights. Malik took the mic, his voice shaky but strong. I used to think being tough meant pushing everyone away, he said. Then I met Sergeant Cole. He taught me strength isn't loud. It's showing up when you're broken, when you've lost more than you can say, and still giving a damn about the person next to you. The crowd was silent, hanging on every word. He didn't just teach me well, Malik went on. He taught me how to fix what's broken in myself, how to stand for something bigger. Daniel didn't look away. Tears stung his eyes, and he let them fall. For once, it wasn't about pain, it was about belonging. After the ceremony, folks lined up to shake his hand. Veterans shared stories of their own service. Parents spoke of sons and daughters in uniform. A widow pressed a folded flag into his hands, her eyes saying what words couldn't. That night, Daniel opened his old notebook. Untouched since Afghanistan, he wrote one line. The weight doesn't get light, but you can teach someone else to carry it. In Laramie, under the wide white mountain sky, Daniel was no longer just a soldier. He was a teacher, a neighbor, a patriot, living proof that America's heart beats strongest in those who show up, no matter the cost. The years drifted by in quiet as a flag flowering at dusk. Daniel never stopped teaching at the vocational school. He didn't marry or seek a new life, he forged one. Well by well, lesson by lesson, Malik graduated, earned a college license, and joined the school staff. Still pulling Daniel saw it together. As America's heart lay strong, Daniel's body had its own time. In 2020, in their talk, they came stage for one slowly, doctors said, Kuno sat to the stank. In hospital, I was staying louder each day. Daniel didn't complain. He updated his folded his uniform, something lasting. That's my thanks. As his body faded, his wind was sharp. He stopped neither else his way. Thereupon the harsh desert wind felt his daughter Claire's small hands on his medals. The past wasn't a ghost, it was why he'd served. One morning in hospice, Claire arrived with her daughter, Emily, Daniel's granddaughter. Years of silence had separated them, a wound neither knew how to mend. Daniel managed a weak smile, brought back up. "Huh?" Claire's voice cracked. "I'm sorry I waited." He shook his head. "You're here now. That's enough." They talked for hours. Claire read his notebook, her voice breaking over his hard words. Emily held his hand, curled up beside him. Daniel's tears fell not from pain, but from knowing he was home, wrapped in family and the country he'd given all for. Before he passed, he whispered to Claire, "Check the front pocket. There," a note in his steady hand. "I'm gone. That's okay. We all go. What matters is how we stood. I wasn't perfect, but I showed up for my brothers, my family, my flag. That's the American way. Care what needs caring." His funeral was simple, as he'd wanted. Flags snapped in the Wyoming breeze. Rounds, now a fire captain, stood in dress blues. Malik's eulogy honored a man who taught him to stand tall. The kid from the auto shop, now a history teacher, wept in the crowd. Daniel was buried with full honors. Stop tags and notebook rested with him. Claire clutched the folded flag. Emily at her side. No parade, no fanfare, just deep respect. Days later, a plaque rose by the school's flagpole, etched with Daniel's words. "Courage isn't loud. It limps in and stays." Each morning, Molly touched it and whispered, "Still showing up, Sarge." And literally, Daniel's legacy endured not in medals, but in the kids he shaped, the flag he honored, and the quiet strength of a nation built by men like him.